Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We are thrilled to have you with us. Welcome to today's webinar hosted by PrimedTalent, a London-based organization established in 2016 with a mission to address challenges in talent supply chain. PrimedTalent is transforming the workforce landscape by developing robust pipeline of skilled professionals by focusing on upskilling, reskilling, and cross-skilling diverse tech talent. They tackle the industry's skill gap and promote inclusion. Through their industry-endorsed programs and collaborative approach, PrimedTalent empowers businesses to succeed while creating career opportunities for tech professionals worldwide. PrimedTalent has organized numerous webinars, each offering valuable insights and practical advice on career-related topics. As a professional skills trainer, I'm particularly excited about today's discussion on the topic From Unemployment to Employment, the power of pre-employment training. I anticipate gaining a wealth of knowledge and fresh perspectives from this session. My name is Ekta Gupta and I am a behavioral skills trainer at PrimedTalent. I have privilege of hosting today's session. The session covers critical aspects such as the impact of economic changes on the job opportunities in the Northeast, addressing skill gaps through pre-employment training, fostering inclusive hiring, enhancing program accessibility, empowering job seekers to utilize training for career growth, and ensuring workforce adaptability through ongoing learning and upskilling. It gives me a great joy to present to you our guest for today, Elaine Murray. Elaine is an experienced professional specializing in engagement, employability programs, and community development. With a career rooted in corporate social responsibility, business engagement, and workforce development, she excels at designing impactful pre-employment programs that empower individuals to achieve sustainable careers. Her Prince2 certification underscores her proficiency in project and event management, ensuring seamless execution of training and engagement strategies. Before we move ahead, let me take a moment to warmly welcome our distinguished guest, Elaine Murray. Elaine, could you kindly share a bit more about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Well, I've been working more or less in community development, I think, for the whole of my career. It's been centered around making a difference with every role that I've been in. It's really important to me that everything that I do every day has a really good impact, particularly on individuals who are looking for work. It's about understanding communities and delivering what people need. So my background, I was in social housing for 25 years. I've worked in further education. I've worked in the training sector, and I think that I've found my home now, because it really does give me great pleasure every day to be able to support people on their employment journey.
How wonderful, Elaine. Thank you. So now allow me to begin by posing the very first question of today's session. So Elaine, with experience at intersection of corporate social responsibility, business engagement, and workforce development, what are some of the most impactful employment initiatives you have observed?
I think the biggest, I mean, there are many, but I think the biggest one for me relates to apprenticeships. So in around 2004, the upper age limit on apprenticeships was removed. So that meant that there was apprenticeships were accessible for everyone. So this had a massive impact on people making career choices. So it meant that they could retrain. The introduction of the apprenticeship levy meant that organisations began investing in the development of their employees. And apprenticeships then began to be delivered in the workplace to people who were quite far on in their career, and the apprenticeship standards were introduced with the input of employers. So that meant that anybody who was undertaking an apprenticeship within their current role, the input of the employers into the apprenticeship standards meant that the learning reflected what they were doing in practice. So we then saw a shift in the age range of apprenticeships. So now we see older people making a career change. I say older people, I should say more mature people making a career change, and apprenticeships are now no longer just for school leavers. So that has massively helped the skills shortage, particularly in the Northeast, and has helped organisations develop and respond to change much more effectively, allowing them to retrain their staff as the business diversifies.
That's truly inspiring, Elaine. It's amazing to see programs like this making a difference. So, also, your background includes project and event management, business development, and coaching, all of which are critical in creating impactful training programs. How have these helped shape your approach of employability programs? And what advice would you give to those looking to build similar initiatives?
You know, I've think having a really broad range of skills has been the reason for success. I think a lot of the skills that I've got now that you mentioned have been on the job training, as it were. You know, you become adaptable, you become flexible, you have to change the way that you do things. I think the biggest thing for me is empathy. I think that's the key. That would be my advice to anybody who's looking to do anything like this, is be empathetic. That's the key. I've been lucky enough to have a career and job roles that I suppose align with my values, with my moral compass, as it were. I have to have an emotional connection to the company I'm working for and have shared values and a common purpose. So as I said, my driver is always to make a difference. And that's embedded throughout my career. So if you take that and then think about the pre-employment training and kind of what I do now. So in this sector, it has to be about the individual. So whatever you're doing, it's got to be at the forefront of your mind. What is it they need? What is it they want? It's not about what you want to do or, you know, what you're providing. It's about what they need from you. And I think the other thing that I really have learned is that community development has been a huge part of my journey. I work with some amazing organisations right across the Northeast who are at the forefront and in the heart of the communities that we deliver training to. So I think you need to understand the bigger picture. So it isn't about just wanting to go in and deliver a programme. It's about when these individuals access this training, what additionally is it that they need? How have they come to be in this position? Talk to them, understand them. And with the voluntary sector, the community organisations, you need to appreciate the role that they play. So they know the people, they know the communities, they're well placed to advise you in terms of delivery and what local people need.
I can see how these skills would be pivotal. That's a great approach, especially when you mention empathy. I'm such a fan of this term. So, according to the UK labour market overview, Elaine, the Northeast has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. So, in your opinion, what are the key factors contributing to this, and how can pre employment training help address these challenges?
I think as the world changes, doesn't it? Like we see that now all the time, something different happening constantly. So as that happens, companies diversify, they grow, but unfortunately, some companies don't survive that change. Another factor I think is there are financial restraints on companies too now. The world's become very competitive, so companies are streamlining, and some technology, I suppose, has replaced some activity, particularly for maybe some specialised job roles. People are facing redundancy. We hear that every day. And I'm going to mention the dreaded C word here. So, however, COVID had a really big impact on that, and I think we're still in recovery. So we had people who were furloughed, but when we came out of that, the world was a very, very different place. So companies restructured, they reorganized, they diversified, and like I said, unfortunately, some didn't survive, and that meant job losses. So some highly skilled people found themselves out of work. The jobs market became even more competitive, and I think that's where we come in. So it's what we can do is to support people on that journey. We're very lucky in the Northeast. The Northeast Combined Authority do an amazing job, and part of their strategy is they have a skills to succeed promise. So the Northeast Combined Authority has been, they're responsible for analysing the skills gap, researching the region, finding out what is needed, trying to future-proof the Northeast in terms of industry, but also with at the forefront is the unemployment rate, it's the skills shortages, and they turn this into a skills strategy and then award contracts to companies to address these issues. So, we are lucky enough to have a contract through the Northeast Combined Authority to deliver pre-employment training. And I think that's the key, is delivering something that is necessary for the region, that we know is needed. So rather than just, us deciding that this is a great thing to deliver, we can rely on the Northeast Combined Authority to make the right decisions in terms of knowing what's needed and acting accordingly.
Now, that's an interesting perspective. It seems like a multifaceted challenge. So, coming on to my next question, Elaine, research suggests that companies with diverse hiring practices are more likely to outperform their competitors. How can pre employment training programs be tailored to promote inclusive hiring and ensure equal opportunities for everybody?
In terms of this, I think this is about knowledge. It is about training, and it's about ensuring that the right people are engaging with the right customers and that we're providing the right opportunities for them. So I think, a total view where I work, we pride ourselves on supporting the individual, whatever the need. And I think, the world is much more aware now of things like neurodiversity. We are more aware of the changing needs of the individual. And I think in terms of the hiring process, that really starts with us. So I think we need to be inclusive. We need to ensure that we have equal opportunities. It's also about, I think, the companies that we engage with and the companies that we work with. So it's about sharing that knowledge. It's about sharing, our experiences. It's about talking to companies and raising awareness and, I guess, championing some of the more disadvantaged groups, or some of the groups that are maybe forgotten about or written off. So it's about us making sure that they have the right opportunity to be able to to get the pre-employment training that's right for them, but also with us engaging with employers at the end of that to make sure that we are signposting the individuals to companies who are inclusive and who will go the extra mile in terms of supporting an individual, making reasonable adjustments for them and that type of thing.
Inclusivity is such a critical goal, isn't it? Which brings me to my next question. But before I say that, please do not be reluctant, in mentioning things again. Trust me, you will just help us to learn more and remember.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So my next question, Elaine. Many job seekers in the UK face significant barriers to accessing training programs, including financial constraints and lack of awareness.
Yeah.
What steps should be taken to make pre-employment programs more accessible and effective for a wider range of job seekers?
Mm-hmm. So this is something that I'm really quite passionate about because it's a common myth that pre-employment is for people looking to get into work for the first time. And that's not the case. And it's not what we're about. So my company, Total Futures, we've been awarded a contract to deliver pre-employment training in the North East. So my job is about engaging with local people and giving them access to the training that's right for them. So I think what the world needs to understand is that there's a real broad spectrum of people who need training. But you're right, it's a lack of awareness, I think, that might hold them back. So I'll just share an example of what we do. So at Total Futures, we run a pre-employment programme designed to support people to apply for roles in the civil service and to navigate that recruitment process. This is a very, very different kind of pre-employment training. So this is something that isn't your entry to work normal route. So when I talk to people about this programme, I work with a lot of people who just need to step away from their current role for all types of reasons. So we're in a great position of being able to offer them something completely different, something that they've never considered before. So if you are in your 50s, for example, and you've been made redundant and, you are searching for jobs and you look at pre-employment training, sometimes people see that and then think, that's not for me, I think, and it's about raising awareness. It's about having people and other partner organizations as well understanding the value of that. So on this particular course, our customers are often highly skilled and come from really specialized roles. So I have engaged on that program a former dentist, a pharmacist, a site manager. They're not what people think are your typical customer who's needing pre-employment training, but what they are is people who found themselves in a position where they can no longer do the role that they've done, or they've decided that at a time in their life they're taking voluntary redundancy or whatever, but they have got a particular skill set that companies would die for. And we're in a great position of being able to offer them that and say to them, come to us. This is what we deliver. And I think slowly but surely the message is reaching communities in terms of, this pre-employment offer for everybody is not just about people who are going into work for the first time. It's about people who, it's about everybody, so everybody can access the pre-employment training. But you're right, it's the view of, it's how people see what we do and what we deliver that is part of the problem.
That's certainly a practical approach, quite a likable idea though. However, digital skills, they are now required for 82% of job roles in the UK, yet many job seekers lack adequate training in this area. How can pre-employment training programs integrate digital literacy to better prepare candidates for modern workforce?
So I come across that often, particularly, I guess, not so much with the younger generation. I think, the younger generation have been brought up with technology. They use computers, they use iPads, they use Macs, they use phones, they use absolutely everything. But it is a problem. And I think the key to this is collaboration. So my view, and it is my view, that pre-employment training doesn't start the moment that one of my customers enters the classroom. We are often the third or the fourth step on their journey into employment. So, I've talked about community development, community engagement, but I work directly with a lot of community and voluntary organisations who, as I've said, work tirelessly supporting local people. Some of the amazing organisations out there, and they are there in a position to be able to support us to support the individual. So again, we're very, very lucky in the Northeast because, we are collaborative. And there's a brilliant, I guess I would call it a camaraderie of collaboration in the Northeast that pulls everyone together to ensure they get what they need. So I think I will give you a couple of examples. So in Newcastle, there is the Work and Thrive partnership, and that brings together voluntary sector organisations, training opportunities, employers, all of these people who deliver specific services in the community and to local people come together to work out what we can do together. There's a similar initiative in Northumberland called Work Smart, Live Well, who does what it says on the tin, encouraging people to work smart and to live well. And that collaboration is incredible. Working Well North Tyneside does exactly the same thing. I think these partnerships, which is exactly what they are, and they're not just lip service. These are real fine examples of organisations coming together, and the power of that partnership is incredible. I think I've slightly gone off topic there because we were talking about digital literacy, but the point is, within those partnerships and within those collaborations, there is always someone who can support the individual whatever they need. So as I said, we aren't often the first. Pre-employment training doesn't start with us, can be the third or the fourth step. So sometimes what we do is work with local organisations and signpost people to develop the skills that they need. And part of that is about ensuring that we're aware of the different training opportunities. We can signpost local people sometimes to their community organisations where they can get the support and the digital skills training that they need.
Absolutely. Teamwork and collaboration is needed everywhere, and digital literacy is definitely a priority in today's job market. Elaine, coming to my next question. We have also witnessed that the pre-employment training programs have shown significant boost in confidence and job interview success rates. So beyond technical skills, what are other aspects of training do you believe are crucial for job seekers to secure sustainable employment?
Yeah. So I think, as I said there, like, not everything can be taught in the classroom. So we have a specific. All training providers will have a specific curriculum to deliver. That's what we're there for. We're there to deliver pre-employment training to help people gain qualifications that will help them move into work. So some people come to us and they need a CSCS card. But some people come to us and, they might need resilience training, coping strategies. They might need confidence building. they might need, you know, things like, I say time management, but I mean in the broader sense of the word. It's about, you know, understanding the workplace that you're going into. I think, you know, some people come to us and you know, there are other needs that they have, which will be a barrier to them getting into work. So again, I feel like I've said the word collaboration about a million times, but it does mean that you work with like-minded organisations, and sometimes people need more of a wraparound support. So, you know, they might come to us for training because they want this particular training. They might not be work ready, and that could be for a number of reasons. So it's really important that we understand what the individual needs, because we don't want to send them into the workplace. We don't want to set them up to fail. So sometimes it's about having a conversation with that individual at the end of their training, to talk to them about what other steps they might need to take. So, you know, I talked before about us being the third or fourth step in somebody's employment journey, but sometimes it comes the other way around. So, you know, sometimes we start working with people and identify that their maths and English needs to be better before they can sustain a job in the workplace. And then that's when that becomes the other way around. And we signpost people to other organisations. So in order to be work ready, you know, you have to be resilient, you have to be organised, you have to do, you know, if you need to, you have to be in a position where you can request reasonable adjustments in the workplace. And it's about us being able to support or signpost people to places where they can, finishing touches, I would say, maybe that is a good way of describing that.
You reiterating some of the facts, I think it just helps us remember things better. And yes, confidence certainly makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So, Elaine, it is also noticed that many companies struggle to find right talent despite high unemployment rates. That suggests a mismatch between skills and employer needs. What changes should be made in pre-employment training to better align with industry demands?
Right. So obviously I've already mentioned the North East Combined Authority and the research that goes into that. And I guess it's about us understanding what the industry needs. So the key to that sometimes is involving the employers. So it's about understanding what their skills shortages are. So, you know, I've done things in the past before with organisations, you know, a training needs analysis. So, you know, when a company's, I think we'll probably need to do more of that, and align that with the pre-employment training, which is exactly what you're suggesting. So I had a role a few years ago under the Northeast LEP for Northeast Ambition. And that role was around working with employers to identify what their needs. It was about small businesses. And I think one of the most effective things that we did in that role was to do a training needs analysis with the business. So that highlighted not only, I guess, what training was needed, but also what was missing. And I think that is a really, really good approach. So not only do you know, they can tell you, oh, we need machinists, or we need bricklayers, or we need admin staff. But I think doing it in the right way, in a structured way, and having a strategy to be able to deal with that will mean that if we analyse that, we know exactly what industry wants, and we can tailor our training to what they need.
It makes a lot of sense. Alignments is the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Furthermore, pre-employment training programs often succeed when they bridge the gap between job seekers and employers effectively.
Yeah.
So based on your experience designing and implementing such programs, what are some key factors that make them truly transformative for individuals as well as businesses?
Uh-huh. Um, Again, I think it's about it's the employer angle. So, you know, I one of the things that gives me the greatest pleasure and the greatest job satisfaction, you know, something I just got a phone call this morning, actually, just a little anecdote here. We ran a civil service program in Newcastle at Reviving the Heart of the West End, which is an amazing organisation. We work very, very closely with them. And we ran a program there. So involved in that is we do like a level 1 skills for business. We talk to people about working in a large organization. We talk to them, you know, teach them some of the skills that they'll need when they're going into work. And I took a phone call this morning to say one of our latest recruits, who only finished 2 weeks ago, has secured employment. So for me, that's what gets me up every day. That's what gets me out of bed. That's what, to know that you're making a difference, that this lady who truly, when she came to us, didn't thought that she had no skills. She was, you know, kind of, she had lost her confidence. She'd had run a business. She had, lost the business. She had, you know, also everything going on, and she really was in a position where she 100% had to start again. So when she came to us, she her confidence was low. She didn't think that she had any skills. She felt as if she was on the scrap heap. You know, if we still say that, she really thought that there was nothing out there for her. And part of that course, part of the thing that we do is to work with the individual. We do CV writing, we'll get them to apply for jobs, but it's about that personal touch in terms of understanding that individual, supporting them, drawing out what their skills are, getting them to analyze themselves really, and to say, well, you know, you've done this, so that means that you can do this, or you know, you've run this business, this is project management, it's organization. And then to get a phone call this morning to tell me that you'd only finished the training 2 weeks ago, and she's now in employment, is just, it is tremendous. That's what I like. That is for me, when you talk about things, the factors that make that truly transformational, that's it. Right? So it's about being able to have that person to understand what they need and to support them to apply for the jobs that they want. And having an end goal is really important. So it's about understanding at the front end where that individual wants to go to. But equally, it's about working with employers to understand what they need. So the best journey for an employer, for an individual, is about being able to support them on all of that journey. It's about not just delivering the training and then saying goodbye to them and not seeing them again. It's about making sure that, you know, they are supported throughout whatever it is that they do.
Thank you for sharing the instance. You know, your excitement is infectious. Um, that sounds impactful and invaluable, Bridges. So, my last question to you is the success of workforce development, which often depends on strong partnership across the public, private, and community sectors. Having built collaborations with diverse stakeholders groups, what are some lessons you have learned about fostering meaningful cross sector engagement?
So, as everyone will have gathered, partnership is really, really important to me. I think I would say partnership is power. So, you know, I've talked about competitive markets. I've talked about the jobs market being competitive, um, and but the world is competitive as well. So we have, you know, a number of organisations who are there to do something specific, something not specific. We all get involved in things that are not necessarily, you know, what we originally set out to do. And I think I personally try not to be competitive, I think particularly with other training providers. So my view is that you know, when we are given contracts, we're given contracts for a reason. We've all got something really special that we have got for people. And I think, you know, we all have something to give and we all have something different to deliver. So, you know, our training might suit this person, but equally it might not suit that person. And I think it's important that we, particularly the training providers, work together, understand what we are delivering. There's always progression routes. So if somebody's not ready, or if somebody wants to do has done a CSCS course with us, but actually that's not what they want to do, or you know, it's difficult to find a job, my partnerships will enable me to be able to refer them to other people to be able to help further develop the individual. And we work together really, really well. You know, it's got to be always about the people, and every day and everyone I come into contact with on a daily basis wants to make a difference. And that's why we all do what we do. That's what is at the heart of everything that we do. And we need to not lose sight of that.
Quite insightful, Elaine. Strong partnerships are surely essential. So today we have covered so much ground, thanks to you, Elaine. And as we near the end, it's time to turn our attention to our curious audience. Let's dive into their questions and keep the conversation flowing. So we might have to wait a few seconds just to let the question appear. So, Elaine, I have this question from Sarah. Elaine, I'm Sarah. I am currently looking for my first proper job, and there seems to be loads of different training courses out there. For someone like me who hasn't had much work experience yet, what's the best way to figure out which pre-employment programs will actually give me a real boost in getting a job?
I think that's a really, really hi, Sarah. I think that's a really, really important point, because when you look, you're just saturated, aren't you? There are so many options. And I think one of the ways in which I would suggest that you started, Sarah, is when I mentioned the partnerships. I don't know where you live, but you know, if I'd just mentioned Work and Thrive Newcastle, for example, there is an organisation where, you know, it's, I suppose, a bit like a triage session. So there are organisations, you can go to them, you can meet with an advisor, you can talk to an advisor, talk to them about your experience. You know, you might say you might not have much work experience, but you will have experience in other things that are transferable into the workplace. So there are advisors there in Newcastle who will, and they are everywhere, and they're absolutely brilliant. They do a sterling job, and they will help you figure out what's next for you, so they can work with you on a plan. So they look at things like, what is it that you want to do? What skills have you got? What qualifications have you got? What sort of work are you looking for? And then they'll help you identify the right training for you with the right provider.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elaine.
I hope
Then we
that
have another.
helps. And if anybody wants any advice or anything offline, then I'm more than happy to do that, to signpost them anywhere they want.
Certainly. I have another question. We have lots of questions loading here. So, good morning, Elaine. From an HR perspective within the regional business community, what are some of the most effective and innovative strategies you have seen for identifying and building strong partnerships with top-notch pre-employment training providers that can truly help us address the specific skills shortages we are facing in our regional workforce?
Right, okay. So I think in terms of the strategies, there's so many people out there. I think, when I mentioned that training needs analysis, I think, as an HR professional, you'll probably have that within your organization. I think it's if you are looking to, foster a relationship with a pre-employment, with a training provider, I think it's about being quite clear about what it is that you need. So I think, when we were talking about the myths around pre-employment training and the people who access that, I think sometimes pre-employment training is maybe not the right word. I mean, that is what it does, but it is inclusive as well. So it's also open to anyone who earns less than £25,000 a year. So that can quite often see us being strategic about how we deliver that and being able to go into workplaces to be able to upskill their staff. I don't know whether that's answered the question. Could you maybe read it? I'm not sure if it's answered the question, but I might have missed something.
I guess you have just certainly handled it well, Elaine.
Okay.
Thank you. And the questions, they sound quite similar,
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, and we have another question. Now, I'm really trying to make a good impression on companies I apply to.
Yep.
What are some of the specific skills or qualifications I could get from pre-employment training that would really make my application stand out in the crowd?
Right. Okay. So I think this is a real common problem for people, and I think some of it stems from companies wanting very, very different things from individuals. So you can apply for one job one day and get an interview, and it's 5 minutes on Teams, and that's it. They don't want to know anything else, and they want to employ you straight away. Sometimes it's a much longer, drawn out process because they need to get the right person for the job. So if we think about the civil service one that I was talking about before, there are lots of specific qualifications out there. You can do an employability program, which will teach you in depth all of those things. So it will teach you interview skills. It will teach you that stuff. You can do, business admin or customer service. I think, in terms of being able to stand out, my advice would be decide on the job that it is that you want. Decide on maybe the type of company that you want to work for, the things that they do, the things that they expect, and it will become clear maybe what's missing from your CV or from your your work experience, what it is that that might be missing. And there are a whole host of organizations out there who can support you. And it is really competitive. We do, particularly, I think, the National Career Service do an amazing job. People think that they're there just for school leavers and people who are going into work for the first time. But I've used them. I got made redundant about 6, 7 years ago, and I was offered a National Careers Advisor, and I took them up on it, and it was absolutely brilliant. And they are so skilled at being able to help you with your CV, to support you with interview skills, to get you on the right track. Now we live in a world now where, as I said, interviews and recruitment processes are very, very different. I think my advice would be every time you do a CV, every time you do an application, and every time you prepare for an interview, make sure that that CV, that everything that you say is adapted to suit the company that you're going for. So if I can just give you an example of this that I've done recently with a young gentleman who came to us for some construction training, and a lot of his work experience was in the advanced manufacturing sector, but he really wanted to go into construction. So he's got all of these warehousing qualifications, but he doesn't want to go into that. So what we did with his CV was make sure that where he wanted to be and what he wanted to do was right at the very top. So we knew that a construction employer needs somebody to have a CSCS card. So on his CV, after that little personal bit about you at the top with your phone number and all that type of thing, we just put in bold the most important things that they would be looking for. So we'll put in his construction qualifications, his CSCS card, all of that type of thing, so that when they got that in front of them, that was the first thing that they saw. So it's about looking at the company, looking about the job description, looking about what they need, and making sure that when you do that application or you send the CV, that is the first thing that they notice.
That was wonderful, Elaine. Thank you so much. I think we'll be able to cover only two more questions, Elaine. So my next question is from audience itself. My name is John, and I run a technology company in Northeast. From a leadership perspective for businesses operating in our region, how can we strategically position pre-employment training as a vital instrument for driving sustainable economic growth and effectively tackling the persistent issues of unemployment with our region?
So I think that again is for the risk of repeating myself, and I'm so sorry, but the questions are quite similar. I think the tech world is huge. I mean, you guys are really taking not just the Northeast but the world by storm. I think and as I mentioned before, we talk about when we do some of this training, people are coming to us really highly skilled. So it may be, Sean, that the people that you're looking for are already out there. So it's just finding them, isn't it? It's just being able to engage with the right people. I think it's about knowing your neighborhood, I suppose, knowing what's in your own backyard. And for you in your position, I think it's about maybe stepping outside of the business and engaging with the region, engaging with people in the region to be able to have an impact on what skills are being delivered and where. It's about maybe engaging with the Northeast Combined Authority and talking to them, or talking to our friends in Work Smart Live Well in Northumberland, for example, who could tell you or advise you on whether we do have those skills, particularly in this area. And if not, then as a business, Sean, you've got the opportunity to influence what happens next. So if you have particular skills shortages that you think are not being delivered, or you have a need and a desire to change that, then we always we want to hear from businesses about what is needed within the region in terms of upskilling people. So you could influence pre-employment, because if the skills are what you need, if we have a range of people who just need upskilling in a slight way, then that can become a pre-employment program. So it's about opening those conversations and talking to the people who deliver this, to see if there's something that we can do for you. I think anybody in this sector will tell you that employer engagement is the most important thing, apart from our training centering on the individual, which is why I would say that. But yeah, it's about listening to the employer. There's no point in anybody delivering some training that there's not going to be a job at the end of it. And employers, honestly, don't underestimate your power, because you can influence what happens in the region.
Great, Elaine. Thank you. This is the last question of the session we are going to take. It's by Simon. As someone with 20 plus years of work experience in management, projects, and customer service, what would be your advice for someone restarting their career in IT? I am going to find it interesting to start at the bottom again as well.
Yeah. So my advice would be apprenticeship. I think, I talked about apprenticeships at the beginning, and I'm a real advocate for them. And if you're wanting to, as you say, it's about starting again, you're wanting to try something completely different. Some pre-employment programs might upskill you, but if you're wanting to delve into a brand new career in IT, then I would suggest looking at apprenticeships, because I think, as I said at the very beginning, around 2004, the age limit was taken away. So, it's a brilliant opportunity for anybody of any age to do a life-changing career change. And particularly, I think, in the IT sector, because they are bang up to date. The standards are changing all the time to incorporate new technology. In IT, you have got so many options, Simon. The software development, the cyber security, there's, a program management. There's so many options in the IT sector, and as you say, you're starting at the beginning. So why not do an apprenticeship? Would be my advice. Would be to look for something like that. You're going to learn everything that you need. You earn while you learn when you have an apprenticeship, and it's a really solid foundation for a career change.
What a wonderful, rich discussion we had today with you, Elaine. On behalf of Prime Talent, I extend our heartfelt gratitude for sharing your valuable time, expertise, and insights with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for tuning in and listening. It was I've had a great time. Thank you very much. It gives me the opportunity just to talk about the things that I'm really passionate about. So that was excellent. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you so much. Likewise, Elaine. So, to our dear audience, if you have any additional questions or inquiries, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via email at info@primetalent.com. We sincerely apologize to those whose questions we couldn't address due to time constraints. However, we encourage you to write to us at info@primetalent.com, and we will ensure to get back to you. For more details, feel free to visit our website at www.primetalent.com. Thank you once again, and wishing you all a wonderful day ahead.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.